Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, collectors of all ages, welcome back to AussieVerse, your home of pop culture with a shining light on collected editions. I am OmniBeau, joined by SingleIssue Steve, and today, for the first time as he steps into the AussieVerse, it is Ben Lacy, all the way from America.
Hello.
How are you?
Thank you again for having me on.
We are very humbled and very, very appreciative. What else we are appreciative of is also our members that we call the Four Lifers, Mrs. Jones Honeycomb, the Fourth Monkey, Ben Sullivan, and Simple Simon. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And if you'd like to support the channel but don't want to join the membership, please like the video, subscribe, and share them, ring the bells, and all the other million things YouTube asks you to do. We really appreciate your support, and let's get on with the show. Ben, so sir, I found you 3 times without realizing it was the same individual.
Oh, okay.
And let me explain.
Yeah, please do.
When you support Kickstarters, at least when I did, I never really paid attention to who was bringing them out and the behind the scenes. If I just saw something that I liked, I would back it and just wait for it to come and read it.
Mm-hmm.
And I first discovered one of your works in The Shark of War. We'll talk about that more, but this is just a little bit of a preview here. If an image like this does not capture your attention, I don't know what the hell is wrong with you, because this is just it's just insane.
Thank you.
So I saw that and went, I have got to read that, and I purchased your deluxe digital volume 1 and volume 2. Right. I read it, I loved it. And then a few months later, I then found a title called Vicious Vixens.
Oh.
I purchased that. I read that. Didn't realize it was the same bloke. Then I discovered Samson. And Samson is what made me go, who's done this one? Who's the person that thought of this? And that's when I put it's pretty crap detective work on my part, but that's when I put all 3 together. And I went, this is the same guy.
Well, Shark of War makes a cameo in Vicious Vixen, so in the beginning, he brief cameo. It kind of drives the action there for a minute. So those two take place in the same universe, whereas Samson is kind of in a separate, universe.
Yeah, I would expect that to be. And actually, now you're making me think. Maybe I'm wrong, and I did pick up on it during Vicious Vixens because I actually remember that shark bit coming across. Yeah.
If you remember in Shark of War 1, there was a brief moment where he stops some human traffickers and saves these women, and the Vicious Vixens evolved out of that moment. I started to wonder, well, he just kind of saved them and then flew off, leaving them adrift in the ocean. And I was like, well, what happened to them? Maybe there's a story for them. And then it just kind of evolved into the Vicious Vixens. Obviously the artwork, if you look at the artwork in Shark of War 1 for the women, they look very different than they do in Vicious Vixens. And we lost one of them along the way because there's only 8 Vixens, and I think there were 9 in Shark of War. So that was kind of the inspiration for how it evolved.
Yeah, I really dig it. Steve, I know that before I introduced Ben to yourself and told him that I'd invited him on AussieVerse, I don't think you were aware of any of his work, but you've recently gone and checked it out.
Yeah, I did. Sorry. Ben, obviously we're going to talk a little bit more about Samson, but I was just saying to Beau just before, down under, I like that. Well done. There's just something really about Samson that really pops to me. Like the story is amazing. Like the whole concept is amazing. The artwork is sensational. I had a question for you, and I was thinking about this before I actually started talking to Beau, is that obviously, concentration camps and everything that happened to the Jewish people is, it's absolutely horrific. And it's going to sound a bit weird saying it this way. I can't think of a better way to put it, but what made you think that it would be okay to turn that into a story? Because I think it's a really cool story, and for me, it's almost like the ultimate good versus evil. I mean, obviously you've got God and the devil kind of stuff, but this is like the next rung down. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I came up with the idea like more than 20 years ago. It was actually my first comic book idea that I ever thought about pursuing. And at the time I would have been a little worried about putting something out like it. There were still people alive who, many more people. There are still some, but not nearly as many. And I thought maybe that would seem disrespectful. But nowadays in our present time, I think the story is a much more appropriate take on it, and it brings attention to it, and you can't feel like it's dismissing it or trying to mock it in any way. So I felt, and also, I am Jewish, so I was, my grandparents came to the United States from the Ukraine well before the Holocaust, fortunately. So I never experienced any of that, though we did have a couple of distant relatives who did die in the camps. So I is speaking somewhat to my own, history in a way.
Yeah.
We came out of that part of the world. I actually named the Zucker name is my mother's maiden name is Zuckerman, so that's where I got the last name for the character. I decided to use that.
That's cool. And I guess the other thing too, sorry mate, as you were just talking about that, doing in a comic book style and a comic book media, you're going to touch people who might want to learn more about what happened to the Jewish people during World War II and all the tribulations and things. So it's actually, it's very cool. It's very cool. And I know here in Melbourne, for instance, we have a museum called the Jewish Holocaust Museum. And it talks about everything that's happened in the camps, and there's photos and things. And again, young people should learn history and go and see those sort of things and find out more. And really what you're doing is introducing, potentially some younger audiences as well to things that we don't really talk about a lot now.
Yeah, and the idea of experimentation in the camps, that's a real thing. That happened. Obviously nobody got powers or anything good. It was basically, torturing and murdering people. In fact, there's a bonus feature in the digital, that'll be in the digital edition, where, I talk about the two men who are, the main villains in the story are actually, based and made to look like two actual Nazi doctors who experimented on people in the camps. Mengele is the name most people have heard of, but there were others too, and these were two of them, and I chose them both because I thought Mengele was too obvious, and also too generic, and these guys are, if you look at their actual pictures, they are frightening looking people. And I hope the comic book captures that as well. But yeah, they were, they were really doing it, and I described some of what, the research they were trying to do, and it was quackery, basically. The one guy was transplanting people's limbs and organs, and doing experiments to try and prove he had been right in a medical dispute with a doctor or another, on what he should have done in a different case. So it was for the most part, these guys were very much quacks. There's occasionally times where we've talked about, the ice experiments having been, valid, but obviously that if that's true, that was a one-off.
And I went through and had a look at the blurb as well, and as you said, the photos of those two guys, I think you picked some really good villains, because they're just as creepy as hell, those blokes.
Yeah, one of them got executed, and the other though lived to be 90, got his license back. It's kind of a life is not fair kind of thing. And, that he got to do that. But they work well as villains in a comic book, just as they were in real life. And
yeah, so this really appealed to me as well because I'm Jewish as well, and growing up, we didn't, the Jewish people didn't really have a lot of muscularly hero type people to really look up to. The closest that I ever came to was probably a wrestler by the name of Bill Goldberg. And I don't know if you've heard of him, Ben, but when he joined the wrestling, kids like myself looked at this huge guy and just went, whoa, finally a man that is out there that's telling the world, don't mess with Jewish people. It was something to really look forward to, look up to. And when I saw this image right here, I just went, wow. Like, I think I may have even put a comment on your Kickstarter saying that I actually don't buy single issues. Not really, only very, very rarely.
Right.
We're all about collected editions here. But I couldn't let that image pass me up. I said I have to get that and put that on my wall.
I think I do remember that. I think this cover made the strongest reactions among people. On Facebook, I obviously got some hate from a few people about it, considering what's going on in things. But I was like, too bad. It's a very much an Alex Ross, and I think Nico, who's the Vicious Vixens artist, did a tremendous job on doing his own take on it, and I think it comes off really well.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Excited about that one.
So what are your goals?
I look at that image, and it tells me, the strength of the community.
Right.
So what are your goals with Samson? Are you going to be doing a lot of issues, or is it just the one shot?
Oh no, it ends on a cliffhanger, and I fully expect to do at least 4 issues to kind of tell a full story arc. I'm a traditional, old school comic book guy and reader where you had an ongoing story, but you kind of had every issue would kind of end on a cliffhanger leading to the next exciting issue, and there's some of that in here. But this is a much darker story than for obvious reasons than you'll see in a lot of mainstream comics. Your classic Silver Age story, but it is meant to be a comic book story with comic book action and things like that.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, when I get that comic, I'll be showing it off on our channel here, and I look forward to getting a collected edition of it one day.
Oh, that'd be great. I appreciate that, obviously.
Now, I think I also have a video here. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Okay. One sec. I've got a lot of links here for you, Ben. So I'm just getting confused myself. But here we go.
Just while you're bringing that video up, mate, Ben, the 2 young guys in Samson, the 2 brothers, are they based on family or friends or anything like that? Or just...
No. There was one of the things I had always read was Mengele had at Auschwitz had a special interest in twins, so that was the idea there, and and the interaction between these 2 brothers and the paths they take, do form an important part of the story arc. It's meant to be an epic, so it's covering 50 years, and we're gonna see what happens both to Samuel and his brother Saul as things go along. If hopefully I get to continue doing at least the 4 issues and maybe more of it.
It's a very cool story.
Hello, my name is Ben Lacy, and I hope you enjoyed that preview of Samson. The campaign introduces an exciting new superhero into the world in Samson. If you're a fan of more realistic takes on superheroes, I think this epic tale spanning World War II to the end of the Cold War will be right up your alley. But don't take my word for it. There's a link below that will let you read the first 8 pages as well as bonus features on the real-life events and people that inspired the story. I'm also very excited about the 3 covers we have for the book, each reflecting a different theme. The base cover is an iconic superhero cover by interior artist Jonah Boscranio, showing Samson lifting a Panzer tank. The second is a homage to the biblical version of Samson by David Bath Galler, showing Samson tearing down the Brandenburg Gate. And finally, the last cover reflects the Holocaust and reproduces Toby Goetzmann-Schneier's haunting painting, Brothers in Auschwitz. I'm really proud of these covers and hope you'll love them as much as I do. Thank you for your time, and please back Samson.
Yeah, I didn't mention the 4th cover there, the one we were talking about, because I didn't have it at that time I made that video. Samson failed on Kickstarter the first time. And then I went back and I wanted to get it out there. So I printed up a bunch of little mini comic ash cans and handed them out to people and sent them with all my other inside all my other comics. And I also gave them out at cons. I handed them out to, creators. I got to go to the Jewish Comic Expo as a guest there, and I handed them out to everybody there. And they actually put it in their display case at the expo. This is at the Jewish Center for History in New York City. And then when I started the Kickstarter back up, I decided I wanted to have one more cover to hopefully bring in more people. And that's where the Alex Ross cover, was finally made.
Yeah, well, it certainly seemed to have worked, and it brings me to another point that I haven't seen too often with people trying to be successful on Kickstarter, and I think it's a great idea, and it really worked well. And that is, if you follow your email updates, most people will send email updates with just the updates of what's going on. Right. But with yourself, you're actually quite kind and generous to be able to have quite a few links to be able to read a lot of your work for free. A lot of people wouldn't do that because, and you can't really blame people either for being able to just read something for free and then not put any money towards it. I may have thought about doing that myself, but I really enjoyed them so much that I wanted them for myself. Yeah. So do you find that that's a successful route to take?
I think I think it's I think it's a necessary one. If my name were Alan Moore or Tom King or somebody like that, I wouldn't have to do that. Maybe I'd be like, hey, you're just gonna have to buy, if you want to read. But when you're not, you have to give some stuff away. And so I'm giving I give away the first 2 issues of Shark of War, the first issue of Vicious Vixens. When I'm getting ready to launch Samson 2, maybe hopefully next year, I'll probably give away issue 1 and hope that brings people in. My goal is always that to get people to back the physical copy anyway. Again, this may be me just being old school, but I much prefer to have the actual comic book. I'm also of the belief that if people buy an actual physical book, they're more likely to read it. Then I got tons of digital comics because I have a lot of people I know on Kickstarter doing comic books, and I back some of them and stuff. And so I have a whole bunch of these digital comics, and I read maybe a fraction of them. But if I wind up picking one that I'm going to actually have a hard copy delivered, I almost certainly wind up reading it. Or at least, reading part of it. If it's not great, I maybe don't finish, but otherwise I definitely read it. And I think that's just the way, it is. There's so much digital media out there. You could go your whole lifetime and never finish, a fraction of it. Whereas if you actually get a book in your hand, it's a lot easier to go, oh, gee, let me take a look at this.
Actually,
I know Beau's pretty big on the digital stuff. I know he buys a lot of digital stuff. Myself, I'm not a digital fan, to be absolutely honest with you. I love having a book, having a physical book, something that looks good on your shelf, something that you can pick up and just thumb through and read. And it's just, digital has its place, don't get me wrong. If you're on the train going to work or something, you can read a comic book while you're sitting there, but there's nothing better than the physical book in your hands.
Well, it's actually a really good point. I am into digital comics lately, but I hadn't thought about it. But if I do have a collection that I do on my Google Drive, they really do take a back seat. I have a lot of digital comics that I haven't even bothered reading because I am busy with the physical stuff. I plan on reading them, but yeah, it's a good point. Other people may be the opposite way around. You know, they may be devouring their digitals while thinking I'll get to the physical stuff at some point too. Our upside down friend here. Let's see. Wow, this is hard for me. Wow, that's a real Alex Ross cover. How do you get a hold of him? There we go.
It's not Alex Ross. It's an artist named Nico Tehran who did is my Vicious Vixen artist. He's a really good artist and can do really nice work. And he is much less expensive than Alex Ross. Because there's no way in heaven I could afford to hire Alex Ross for a cover.
Certainly looks like it.
I'm sure he cost at least 5 figures probably to do a cover for you.
Well, let's go into your current Kickstarter.
Awesome.
Because it's only got 6 days left, which is probably closer to 5 in America. This is the action-packed Jaws meets RoboCop, balls to the wall, Shark of War. God, look at that image.
Hello, my name is Ben Lacy, and I hope you enjoy Shark of War Volume 1. This 160-page hardcover collects the first 5 issues of my comic book, Shark of War. It is 100% complete, and this Kickstarter is to publish and deliver the books to you at as low a cost as possible. The first 100 backers will also get one of the coolest covers from my back catalog. In addition to a base hardcover, there's a Jaws tribute cover for the hardcore Jaws fans. And finally, there's the Shark of War plushie. Thank you for your time, and please back Shark of War, Volume 1.
Awesome. Let's take a look here. So 6 days left to go.
Right.
If this looks like something you're into, please do it, because I'm going to actually show you the comic for the first issue at least in a second. But as we scroll through here, feel free to talk about whatever you like here, Ben.
Yeah, I'm up to issue 7, and the first 5 issues I did all the artwork on myself. I use a lot of digital and modeling and things like that. I don't consider myself an artist. I consider myself a writer and someone who's skilled in the use of computers. So this book, 5 issues, is all me. For issue 6 and 7, I brought in new artists because I wanted to focus more on writing, and I knew there were better artists than me out there. But I still think that my work captures the essence of the concept pretty well, and gives you a good story experience. And this is the first full arc that covers his origin, his escape from the military custody, and then his eventual battle with the mobs who are trafficking drugs in the Caribbean.
God, this would make such a kick-ass movie.
I think I actually always think it would do better if it ever got made as a movie. It would do better as a movie than it has as a comic book. I think there's a lot of people who come up to me and say, I don't really like comic books, man. This sounds like a good movie. And so, the Meg made a lot of money, so I have to think that this would probably do well too.
When you look at Amazon Prime and all the cheap horror movies that they've got on that platform, I'm sure Shark of War could be a contender. You know, if it ever got made, it'd be fantastic.
Well, just have a look at Sharknado, how much of a cult movie that's become, that whole series.
Yeah, I always try.
People
mention Sharknado to me, and I always no, it's Jaws meets RoboCop.
Yeah,
it's completely different. The other interesting thing, Ben, just having a look at the writing and all that sort of stuff, you've obviously put a little bit of your own personal, I guess you could say, employment in your normal job. Some of the concepts and that behind that are actually included in your comic. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, like I said, I'm not a traditional artist. I could, on a pen and paper, I can barely draw a straight line, but I know how to use a computer pretty well. So there's a modeling software called DAZ 3D. It's used for video games mainly. So I take models and prepare it in there, and then I render the artwork, and then I take it into another program and Clip Studio Paint. And then I give it a more comic book look, so it doesn't come off as what's the word? Uncanny valley, I guess, that sometimes video game characters have, especially when they're humans. That's why I think it works pretty well for Shark of War, because it's mostly the shark, and there are human characters in it, but they're much less of a factor. I would never try this, say, with Vicious Vixens, where I think that having a traditionally drawn, digitally drawn by hand art works much better.
And also with your job as well, mate. You talk about, I read some of your blurb that you're actually an engineer as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, I work for a major company that rhymes with General Electric, but yeah. So that's my day job, and yeah, so I'm pretty handy with the computer. We're doing engineering models and things like that. Gives me a decent background in this.
I guess,
or at least helps.
Sorry, mate. Also, too, sorry, I keep interrupting you. I guess also too that with your engineering background, some of the concepts in Shark of War, like the equipment and everything that the shark's got, is there some elements from your engineering background that you've used to create those add-ons and stuff?
If you look in the back of a lot of the issues of Shark of War, the digital editions, there's a Science of Shark of War segment in the digital editions. For example, the issue 1/1, I talk about how he converts the people he eats into fuel to power his jet engines, and the actual science behind that kind of fuel conversion, which is possible, though probably not on a scale that you could shove it onto a shark, but we can convert animal matter into real fuel. So that's like an example of what I did. And there's another in the next issue. I think I talk about how he floats with all the stuff on him that he's got, and how negative buoyancy works with him in the concept of the Shark of War. And some of that's from my, I was in the Navy as well, so some of that pops up from Navy days.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Let's take a look here. So I don't know which Google. I've got two Google Drive. Oh, there we go. This one. Okay. So I'm not going to reveal too much here because I want you to go buy it yourself. Although, as I mentioned, Ben does have it available for you to read. I think it's the first issue for free. But here is the wonderful Shark of War. It's just, I just love that. It's just, how scary would that be? A shark is scary enough, but god damn. Slices right through him. Like, if this does not make you want to read a comic, I don't know what will.
I love the blades on the fins.
They're retractable blades. I had the idea. Well, what else?
Oh, they're retractable.
Yeah, so he can pull them in. Usually they wind up being out, but he can pull them in.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
So yeah, here's some more of the science where he actually goes into an explanation for the reader of some of the stuff.
Yeah, see, that always fascinates me when writers go into the science of it, because I think it's if you're a creative person, creating a story is one thing. Oh, a shark that crossover with RoboCop and blah blah blah. But when you go into the hows and the whys, I think that's a different skill level.
Thank you.
And this first issue, 68 pages. Yeah.
Well, the actual comic, the interior story is 28, and then the rest is like bonus features, like the science of Shark of War. There's another feature on how I do the art. So yeah, so and I think in this one I think I tossed in the script because I thought people might be interested. Later issues I decided nobody cares about a script, so I don't include that anymore. I also put in all like the bonus cover art. Every issue of Shark of War, there's a Jaws inspired cover from the movie Jaws or one of the other Jaws movies. This is the classic Jaws poster recreation, but for other issues, I kind of put a different spin on it, or I've done Jaws 2, Jaws 3D. For Shark of War 7, I did Jaws the Revenge cover. So I always do that. And that one I always do myself. It's even now that I have other people doing the art, I make those covers myself.
It's Jaws if the shark were the hero. It's RoboCop if the cop were a shark. When a massive bioengineered shark escapes a secret military lab, he makes himself the law of the sea. Pre-programmed to enforce US law, he cuts a swath through the bad guys. Able to fly, bulletproof, and armed with guns and teeth, it seems nothing can stop him. But the mob and the evil scientists who created him think they know one way: make even more dangerous creatures. And these links as well, which I forgot to share, don't worry about not getting them, because they will be in the description of the video, which I will make sure are there. Once this video is over, I will upload them there.
One of the things I really loved as well, Ben, was USS. Okay, you went for United States Shark.
Yeah.
It's only something small, but I really like that. That's really cool.
I thought that would, we always have United States ship or something like that. And I thought, well, it's a military project, so yeah, wouldn't they tag him? so he's is officially USS Nasher, and that's actually on the little T-shirt here, that he had, in the branded plushie, USS Nasher.
Yeah, so this is all fascinating stuff.
So if you're really into getting into the nitty gritty details, I do go into it a fair amount in this issue.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. I really dig that.
And here I explain how I do the art.
Yeah, see, these extras are great. All right. So that is all Shark of War. We've talked about Samson. Now let's take a look at the last one that I have here. Actually, before we take a look at it, tell the audience who and what the vicious Vixens of Dakuwanga. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the pronunciation exactly. The vicious Vixens are 8 women each with a unique skill set, on the run from the mob and lost at sea. And can they come together to survive? It's kind of like I said earlier. It spins out of Shark of War, where he inadvertently saved some women from human traffickers at the beginning of the first issue of Shark of War. I think I don't know if you passed through it on looking at issue 1, but yeah. So in this issue, that they have much more distinct look and personalities than they did in Shark of War issue 1. And as it turns out, there's a mystery to why the mob has gathered them together, because each of them, as I mentioned, has a unique ability. One of them is a crack shot. Another one is martial arts ability. There's a medical doctor. There's another one who has survival skills because she knows how to run a boat. Then there's a one who's very strong and one who's very fast. So each of them comes to the table with a unique ability, and they're like, why do they want us? And in issue 3, we're going to finally find out why they want them. But in issue 1 here is they're trying to escape their captors, and the inadvertent movement of the Shark of War gives them an opportunity to do just that.
Wow, yeah. And what I really dug about this is sometimes when you're reading a new comic, and you're so into Marvel and DC and all that sort of jazz, it can be a little hard sometimes to get into new characters.
Right.
And what I found reading this, because I just devoured this, to be honest.
Thank you.
It was very easy to start to like these women individually. They all had their own personalities. They all had their own stories, and some of them were very relatable. It was a really, really fun read. Have you done more of just this one issue?
Oh yeah, there's issue 2 is already out there.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get that.
This is the variant cover, but yeah, here's issue 2. Or this is the variant cover of issue 2. This was done by one of my other artists. I didn't grab the standard issue 1 cover, but yeah, issue 2 came out a few months ago now. I think I delivered it back in April to everybody, and we get the origin stories for Fishhook and for Big Sis herself. So Fishhook's story is heartwarming and Big Sis's story is terrifying, and this one has Doc's story, which is kind of a abbreviated compared to theirs.
Yeah, it's a good artist.
Yeah, he's the same artist who did that Samson Alex Ross homage.
Oh, right. Okay.
So he did that cover for me.
So how many issues of Vicious Vixens are you looking to make?
This is another one that I think I'm going to go at least 4 or 5 to tell the story of why they've been brought together and what the mission is for them, and they're actually going on the mission in issue 3 and then starting it. And issue 3 I've written the script for, and Nico's just started to do some drawing. He's drawing new clothes for the women because it's time for them to get a change of clothes. They've been in the same thing for weeks as they've been trying to stay one step ahead of the mob.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Really, really cool. I really dug this a lot. I want to read more.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I messaged him and said, I'm struggling to read your upside down words. It really doesn't work like that, but I really appreciate the effort in. Okay. That was good stuff. All right, Ben. Now, do you hear me? Hey?
Can you hear me still?
We can. Yeah, you have paused, but we can hear you.
Yeah, and my face is like frozen. I don't know why.
Yeah. We can still hear you though.
I'm gonna try and reconnect my cam here. I'm using my phone through an app and everything else, and so it's kind of kludgy sometimes. Hopefully, I can get it to come back up.
The beauty of live TV.
Great.
While you do that, I'll show off your Instagram.
Awesome.
So here we go. Ben Lacy 1. As you can see, the hardcover, the plushie, some art. Look at this one. Improving the new Twister movie. Here is that Alex Ross homage cover. For all the Vicious Vixens. I love that one. She's enjoying that.
Cool.
Yeah, she's the hardest case of them. Yeah,
I also noticed as well.
There's the issue 2 covers. I got two live cosplay type covers, and then I've got the 2. That's the base cover, and that's the
I was going to say
that's the variant cover.
I was going to say, with your cosplay covers, I have noticed recently, if you're backing Shark of War on Kickstarter, not only do you obviously get the book and whatever rewards you've chosen, but with your email updates, you're also giving away things all the time. You're saying all you need to do is comment.
Yeah, so if anybody, for the I'm giving away a print of the big Sis cosplay that was done by fitness model Dela Hernandez. For anybody who gets a physical copy, they just have to comment and say they want that print, and they're entered. And I'm going to give away at least 10 of them. So probably most people that say they want one will get one. I always kind of play these try and make my Kickstarter more fun. I always try to do these backer games where I offer some of my past issue swag to people who are interested in it, and I include it in their rewards packs. I
love your setups at the cons as well.
Yeah, I'm going to one tomorrow. In fact, I'm going to Soda City in Columbia, South Carolina. Yeah, I have an inflatable shark I mount over my table, and I also have a shark hat I usually wear. It makes the con more fun to just have that rather than a banner.
How do you find those cons?
Huh?
How do you find those cons? Successful?
They're okay. I mean, they sometimes bring in new backers, and I usually sell enough to make my table fee. I try to avoid cons that require me to travel too far, to go for multi-days, because if you start having to do a hotel or something like that, it really becomes it doesn't pay off. That's that's adding a lot of cost. But I usually make enough there that it's worth going to a few of them, at least a few of them a year. At one point, I was giving away shark teeth fossils.
Oh no, I missed out on that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I stopped doing that because it was adding a pain to ship, and I wasn't sure if it was really moving the needle a lot. I thought it was really cool. I thought people would just love it, and some people liked it, but not enough that I was like, I got to pack these, and now it becomes harder to ship things, media mail. So I just decided I'm going to stick with more paper stuff. So I do more prints and things like that now.
I would have gotten one.
And I was giving them out to people. I was buying them in bulk on eBay. So
I was just about to ask, mate, if you actually went and found them yourself and did a little bit of fossil hunting, or
there's a place. There's supposed to be a place off the shore of South Carolina that I keep meaning to try and go to, where you can actually dig for your own shark fossils and find a fair number of them. But I haven't really done that yet. I just ordered them on eBay. I think they come from someplace in the Middle East or something where it was once underwater, a million years ago or so. Yeah. And they have a bunch of shark teeth fossils they can pull up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It looks like you got a good sense of humor, Ben, just by going through your as well. Yeah. All right. So go follow Ben right there at Instagram for all of this wonderful stuff here. Let's get to some comments now. Thanks, James. Appreciate that, mate, letting us know. I'll stop that screen. Try going out and coming back in that fixes. Oh, yeah, that was with your freezing.
Yeah.
Am I going to sound really dumb if I ask if water swirls counterclockwise when going down the drain and flushing a toilet? We get asked that question a lot from Americans. The damn Simpsons have just ruined it for the world.
Huh.
But the answer is yes. The answer is yes. But it's not it's based on hemisphere. So the southern hemisphere goes different to the northern hemisphere. So that is actually correct.
Have you ever been to Heroes Con? Asks James.
Yeah, I did that. Not this. I think I did it a year ago. It was a nice con, but it was a 3-day con, which makes it a little bit of a pain. Simply because you got to either stay there overnight or I have to travel. It's close enough I can travel, but it's pushing the limit. It takes like an hour and a half to get there each way. I did that one year. It was a nice con. I saw a lot of cool people there too.
So no Australian tours in your future?
I'd like to go to Australia, but it's probably going to be more as a tourist. We went to Korea earlier this year because my son's in the army there. So, he was like, "Oh, you can come back sometime." And I'm thinking, if we're going to go back that way, you're going to have to meet us somewhere. So seeing Korea once was really cool, but if I'm going to travel that far, I want to go somewhere else. So we were like talking about where he can meet us if he winds up being stationed there for longer.
Well, we have about 3 cons a year. So if you ever came, it'd be great. I reckon people would really be into your stuff, man.
You only have 3 cons a year? That's not for all of Australia, is it?
No, just for Melbourne.
Oh, okay.
No, isn't it for all of Australia?
Well,
You got Supernova, Oz Comic Con.
Yeah, they have it in different states.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's like 3 in each state. 3 in each state. Yeah.
So tell us about this image.
So yeah, I always wanted to do I always like this concept of doing, a covers that form a single image. At the time I was doing Shark of War and I was doing the Cthulhu Man, which we didn't really discuss yet, but it's also a spin-off of Shark of War. It was pretty much a standalone 1-issue comic book where the main villain of Shark of War, Dr. Brooke Douglas, she was experimenting on creatures. Now she starts experimenting on people and creates one that has the powers of a Cthulhu. And it basically turns on her and goes on a rampage. But at the same time, I was doing Shark of War 6. So we kind of combined all the characters from both books into forming this image that you see on the top. And of course, it's inspired by the Jim Lee X-Men cover, where you have, all the X-Men attacking Magneto. Of course, I didn't have quite as many heroes, so I have some, I have some people on the left there who are on the wrong side, as well as the Cthulhu Man on the right.
That is cool. Was that ever sold as a poster by any chance?
I made 2 prints, so you can get both prints and you put them together. I didn't make one big. Again, it's a shipping issue. So I can do two 8x10 prints pretty easily, and that will form together to form the image. But it's harder once I start doing, a full thing. Then I either have to fold it or I have to roll it or something like that, and then ship it as in a roll. So yeah, right now you can get, but I still have some actually. I give them away every now and then as another one of those bonuses. But those are, I put them in your rewards.
I was going to say, you're really. I didn't realize you were making such a world. I thought it was just the Shark of War and the Vicious Vixens. So this Cthulhu Man, who I haven't actually read at all, that's also a part of the Shark of War world.
Right. Like I said, it's his main enemy decides she's going to experiment on people, and she gives one the powers of a Cthulhu. You saw the other two people in there. Those are 2 children she winds up experimenting on and gives them powers as well. So it's kind of an superhero origin story for them potentially, and a horror comic for the Cthulhu Man. And it has a kind of an open-ended. It ends, but it has kind of an open ending. So I could always do a sequel. And I've toyed with the idea, but I've got so many other comics going on. I haven't tried to pull the trigger on that one yet. If the demand ever came for it, I definitely would, because I've got more ideas for the people in that were in that comic book.
This has the makings of a future omnibus, Ben.
Possibly.
I know creators don't like to make them so much because they're expensive to get your money back on those, but still could happen one day.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to do things in like 5-issue books, hopefully at a price that's pretty good. I think the price for my hardcover here, $29 with free US shipping. Unfortunately, I have to charge shipping to down under. But free US shipping, I think, is pretty competitive with, even big 2 hardcover comic books, because, hardcover collections you'd be paying in that kind of price range for.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're nearly wrapped up here. Let's just get to some last questions. What's your favorite aspect of your work and your least favorite aspect, if anything?
Oh, I enjoy coming up with the stories and imagining the outcomes, and I enjoy seeing the final product created and having it to hold and just to show people, and hopefully that they enjoy it. The least favorite aspect is putting together the Kickstarter and then marketing the Kickstarter. You kind of have to be a pain in the butt to market, and I hate doing it, but I do it anyway. And then some people get annoyed and like, why are you emailing so much? And it's like, I'm sorry, but then I do it again anyway. And then, so that aspect of it, if I I would have no problem having that taken over by a publisher and having them do all that kind of stuff. But if you want to get it out there, I got to do it myself. So I'm doing it.
It's true.
Mate, we feel your pain. Sorry, yeah. So we feel your pain with that.
No, you go.
having to promote AussieVerse, having a video, you've got to make a post, then you've got TikTok, then an Instagram, and you're constantly promoting yourself because until you get a certain threshold, you have to just keep promoting yourself. If you annoy people, don't follow AussieVerse. It's pretty simple. But it's the way it has to go. I'm always pushing AussieVerse, and it's the nature of the beast. Sorry, Steve.
No, I was just going to say, Ben, just give us an overall summary about what you're working on now and some future things, if you're happy to share some ideas or anything that you've got coming up.
Yeah, Shark of War 8 is the artist has started doing. It's been written, and the artist has kind of done thumbnail sketches for all 24 pages. It takes off from where Shark of War 7 ended. The big cliffhanger there, where the Shark of War is missing and presumed dead, and one of his closest allies has been captured and fallen in the hands of the mobsters led by Lupita Tiburone, who's on your left over there, or my left, maybe it's your right, who's currently the head of the Coastal Cartel. So that's being sketched up, and I'm not sure when I'm going to launch it because I got a lot of other stuff going on, but I hope to launch it this year. The script for Vicious Vixens 3 has been finished, and the artist there is starting to do some preliminary work for that. And Samson is almost done. The artist has finished like 20 pages of it. I'm hoping to have the whole thing done in a couple, all the art done in a couple weeks, coloring too, and then it'll just be on to lettering. And with any luck, the digital edition will be available, mid-September to late September, and it'll be off to the printer around that time as well. And then, it takes some time to get it back from the printer, and then I'll ship them off to everybody. So those are the main things I've got going on. And then there's this Kickstarter here for the collection. That's going to wrap up next week. And like I said, it's all put together. All I have to do is get everybody's, information that wants to be in the Shark Tank. So their name will be in the back of the book and everything else. And then I'll send that off to the printer. And then hopefully, it's going to a Chinese printer, so it takes a while to come back. But I'm hoping to have that to everybody by Christmas. So
actually, you've just reminded me, actually, a last question I'm going to ask you is, first of all, g'day, Ben. Thank you very much for joining us, one of our AussieVerse for lifers. when it comes to the time frame when a Kickstarter ends and everybody's paid, and them waiting for the actual product, because there's a few Kickstarters that I've participated in now where I'm waiting up to 2 years to get the product.
You will never have that happen with me. I mean,
it's with a couple of them, the communication's always there, so you know everything's fine. But there's one that I won't mention here because I just don't want to shit on them. But that is from a major publisher as well. I'll tell you after the show. And everyone just thinks they've just disappeared and ghosted them. And it's a major publisher, and people are just shocked at the lack of communication and how poorly run the communication is. And it's really quite shocking. Have you ever had to deal with any negative feedback from people waiting for your end product, or any have you dealt with any?
Not really. I've never been late. From what I promised, I've never been late. It's possible with Samson, I'm going to be pushing the line a little, but I've never, usually, within 4 months of my Kickstarter's ending, I've delivered the books, or 5 months, and always, when things are expected on the Kickstarter, it's kind of when they've come, or sometimes ahead of that. So I've rarely had that. I guess recently I did have a complaint where somebody pointed out I hadn't delivered Samson, and I was hawking my my Shark of War collection, and I guess they were a little annoyed about that. And I was like, it's Samson's coming, it's on schedule, and I can't just wait and not do. If I waited, I'd only do one book a year or so. It's hard enough to have a cycle. So you just have to, you have to have, more Kickstarters going before your next book necessarily comes out. I know some people are doing like a Kickstarter a month, and that's just insane to me. But I'm trying to do, several a year, so there's always going to be some overlap. And but as long as I deliver on time, I think everybody's, pretty happy.
All right. Awesome. Well, we just got told by another channel, a good friend to AussieVerse, K-Pop Junkie, that we are finalists for the Omnibus category on the CBC YouTube Awards. So that is just, wow, that is such an honor. It's amazing. I'm just speechless. Absolutely speechless. Thank you so much, K-Pop, for letting us know about that. I'm going to go check out Brian's channel straight after this and bask in our glory. Fantastic. Okay. Have you got anything else for Ben, Steve?
No, just want to say, mate, thank you very much for giving up your Friday night and jumping on and having a chat with us down under people, and for sharing your work with us as well. We're looking forward to some of our Australian friends, and obviously people around the world that are watching as well. Make sure you back these Kickstarters, help these guys out, and buy Ben's stuff, for God's sake.
Thank you. Please, yeah.
Good way to end it. Here we go. Hang on. K-Pop Junkie, what is the Omnis? How do I vote? So I don't think you can vote anymore, James. Near mint condition was actually voted in the same category, I believe. Anyway, it's a YouTube award show that's been around for about 3 years now. And I watched last year's just last night, and it is so legit like the Oscars. They have done such a wonderful job. It is such a cool show and a cool idea, and you get awards and, all sorts of stuff. And AussieVerse, it was the first time we could be nominated because we'd only been around for like 2.5 years. So the YouTube channel that you'd want to go to is Brian LCS, which I'll quickly just show here. This wonderful man is the one that I believe has organized it, along with a couple of other people as well. I don't think it's all just Brian, but I think it was Brian's idea initially. I'm not quite sure, but the shows are on this YouTube channel. And as you can see here, finalists revealed, which was just uploaded 6 minutes ago, which our names must be mentioned. So I'll be definitely checking that out. There you go.
Cool.
Nominations just ended and finalists were announced minutes ago. Brian is going to update the website and open final voting tonight. So there you go, James. You can still vote. Same with you, Ben. Go for it. All right. So sorry to take over that. That was just huge announcements for us. Very, very exciting stuff.
Congratulations.
Ben, if I was to say to you, what is AussieVerse?
For life.
What would be?
I caught it.
Yes.
Fantastic. If you want to see more AussieVerse, please go to our Instagram where you can check us out right there. You can also go to Facebook, #AussieVerse for life. You can also check out our videos on TikTok, and our graphic designer, thumbnail creator, and wonderful person that just makes us look so beautiful is A51_designs. And as normal, also go check out Cynation Comics, who is a wonderful place that you can go buy their gods among men. But last and definitely not least, go check out our sponsor, Comic Bookaroo, Australia's #1 online comic book store. This has been absolutely fantastic, Ben. We really appreciated you coming on, mate. Thank you for taking a chance on a small little Australian YouTube show.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Anytime you want to promote more stuff, anytime you want to just come on to do whatever, you hit me or Steve up and we'll make it happen.
Awesome.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you next time. Guys, enjoy your Friday night in America. Friday night in America, Saturday day in Australia, and wherever you are in the rest of the world. Catch you later.
Goodbye.
Thanks, guys.